Now let us try to understand the MSA related to attribute. So in attribute gauge error, we are having repeatability, reproducibility and calibration. They are used in situations where a continuous measure cannot be obtained. Number two, it requires minimum 5x as many as sample as continuous study. So in continuous, if we are having 10 samples, we can do this. But here we will be needing at least 50 samples to study our attribute gauge R&R. It is also called kappa analysis. This agreement should be used to clarify operational definition for the categories, and that is called the attribute data analysis or kappa analysis, where you are studying the disagreement. Attribute data are usually the results of human judgment, and when categorized items, you need high degree of the agreement on which way an item should be categorized. So this is also called an agreement analysis. So what is process capability? The inherent capability of the process is to meet the customer expectations or to give the customer the product he wants. Now, the process capability would provide us the insights whether our process is having the centering issue or having the variation issues or having the mixture of both or some inappropriate specification limits. Whatsoever it may be, the process capability will give us the guideline, idea, and we can actually correct it to provide the right kind of the product to the customer. What are the measures of the capability? There are two measures of the capability, CP and CPK, and PP and PPK. The only difference in source of the data is short term and long term. How to calculate this? CP or PP, the formula of CP or PP is USL minus LSL by 6 sigma, and the CPK and PPK is USL minus X bar divided by 3 sigma and X bar minus LSS by 3 sigma, and the minimum of you can consider it as your CPK and PPK. Now to calculate DPMO, we should know two things. One is defect per unit, the other is defects per opportunity. So what do you mean by defect per unit? Defect per unit can be calculated by the defects you are having into the part divided by the total unit you are producing. Every part would be having a small defects. Put together, you will having the defective parts. So how many defects you have in one part and how many defects in the parts in the entire batch divided by how many parts you have actually produced. In one part, you may have 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 defects. It does not mean that you are making the defective parts. Let me give you the example. If I am having the table and having number of defects, scratches here and there and some broken corners, there are a number of defects, but it has such 4 legs, and because of that I am using for the purpose for which it is meant for. But the very good table, and if I will not find one leg of it, then that is the defective. Only one defect of not having one leg, that will make my product as the defective product. So we need to understand what is defects. We are not talking about defectives, because defect would give us the defective, and in Six Sigma we are working at the source, at the roots, and that is why we are focusing on the defects. Now, what do you mean by the defects per opportunity? So you are having DPU based on the formula which is given here, and the opportunities for the error in one unit. For creating a one unit, you are following some processes, and every process is an opportunity of making error. So one particular product may have 12 processes, you are having 12 opportunities, and DPO is the indication of how many opportunities you have per defect. So what you are doing is you are having DPU divided by the number of opportunities, and when you actually multiply this DPU with 10 lakhs, it would give us the idea of defects per million opportunities. And then we can actually go into the Six Sigma table, Six Sigma chart, and understand at what Sigma level we are working. So in this particular phase, we have understood the input, process, output matrix, and identified the critical acts. We understood the relationship between input and customer requirement and investigated the directions for the analysis phase. We understood the spatial cost variations and understood how we can actually measure it through accurate picture to get accurate picture of the process. In a measurement system also we understood in this particular phase, and we come to the conclusion that first we need to check our operators and the equipment through which we are measuring, and we need both accuracy and precision. We understood the baseline capability and established it with the calculation of process CP and PP and CPK and PPK. And we are now ready to get into the next phase, and the next phase is like the data analysis. So we'll be getting into the analysis.